So what I'd like to share with you today is how can you, as a leader, improve your workplace, your business, your community, your culture, and your family. Who here is a leader? Can I see a show of hands? Okay. Who here is not a leader? There's always one. Yeah? So if you're a leader, you're somebody who can influence another human being. That's the principle of leadership. The ability to be able to influence another human being. Now, what I would like to do is I'd like to run a little scenario with you, if I may, and I would also like to see a show of hands of how many people have experienced this. So, we have a bad day at work. Who here has had a bad day at work? Yeah? All right. So, you had your bad day at work, you're frustrated, you're a little bit annoyed, maybe you're a little bit more than annoyed, you might use the P word or the F word, yeah? And you're exhausted, you're tired because you've not had good leadership, you don't know what you were supposed to do, nobody gave you the training. You know, as it's been mentioned before, we get promoted because we're good at our job, aren't we? And then all of a sudden, we get promoted and we're like, yay, happy days. But then what happens? You get people. I mean, Jesus, yeah? Pain in the ass, people, yeah? And then you've got to look after them. But you're supposed to be doing your job. So you come home from work and you're frustrated. And you walk through the front door and the dog's yapping around your feet. And the kids are going, Mum, Dad, where's me footy shoes? I need this swimming kit for tomorrow. Can you help me with me homework? And your partner's going, what's for dinner? Did you remember to pick up that pint of milk that I asked you to get? And you just turn around and go, for God's sake, just let me get through the door, will ya? Has anybody ever experienced that? Yeah, it's very common. And before you know it, you end up having an argument about absolutely nothing. Now, if we rinse and repeat this, and we do this repeatedly over and over and over again, do you think it's going to start to impact the people in our lives? And it does. And what we start to see is we see the young people, the family, the kids, they don't get the attention they need. So where do they go? They go to school to get that attention. And then they start mucking up, because that's how you get attention at school. I know, I did it. But then, the teachers can't teach, they become social workers. And they're too busy looking after the troublesome kids, and the kids in the middle, and the good kids don't get the education they want. And that's how it then ripples out into society. So this is what I want to be able to share with you. I want to be able to share with you today how we can change this. Because every person in this room can change their community, their workplace, their family, by just choosing a different leadership style. So, gone too far. So, come on, get back. There we go. So today, what I'm going to share with you is some insights around the different generations and how we can lead them. I'm also going to give you the opportunity to download my book for free, my latest book, Redefining Leadership, 101 Audacious Leadership Tips. However, before we get to that point, we need to unpack what the leadership revolution is all about. Has anybody heard of the leadership revolution? Show of hands. A couple of you? Cool. All right. So the leadership revolution is moving from the old command and control, the old carrot and stick, do as you're told, be grateful you got a bloody job, to a more people-centric leadership style, which is what we've been discussing for the last 2 days. And what's happening now, and it's been exacerbated because of COVID, is people will not put up with poor leadership anymore. They just will not put up with it. So they jump off the merry-go-round and they go and try something else. And why is this? Well, at the moment, 9.5% of Australians last year changed their jobs. That's 1.3 million people. There's a churn happening in the workplace. Has anybody noticed it? You know, who struggles with retention of their team members? How many people? Show of hands. A few of you? Yep. All right. But why are they doing that? Well, because there's over 364,000 job vacancies at the moment, which means that unemployment is down at 3.9%. So pretty much everybody who's employable, everybody who wants to have a job, has already got a job. And guess what? If they don't like their job, there's 390-something thousand jobs out there that they can go and try on. And this is what's happening. We're seeing people leave jobs. But are they leaving the jobs, or are they leaving the people? They generally leave the people. They leave the culture. They leave the leadership. So really, right now, it is an employee market. They can pick and choose where they're going to go. So we understand that retention is important. So what I thought I'd do is highlight some of the reasons why people are leaving. People are leaving, this is based on Australian stats, people are leaving because of the toxic workplace culture. They're also leaving because of a low salary and poor leadership. Then we got work-life balance and inflexible remote working. These are the top 5 reasons why people are leaving workplaces right now. But what have all of these got in common? One thing. Any ideas? Leadership. Yes, 100%. Leadership. Leadership is hanging on by a thread at the moment. There's a world shortage of leaders. There's plenty of bosses, managers, supervisors, but there is a world shortage of leaders. Now, why is this? Well, because leadership kind of fell apart when we hit the Industrial Revolution. In 1720, the Industrial Revolution started. 1780. Started in 1780. And now we're on Industrial Revolution Part 5. Personalization and humanization. It's all about people. And this is what I said. When we've heard all the previous speakers, they've all been talking about people-centric leadership. And this is why it's so important. This is that leadership revolution. We, the leaders, have got to evolve. We've got to change. Because if we don't evolve and change, we're going to be like the dinosaurs. We're going to die out. Our businesses are going to die out. But it doesn't take that much to change. And remember, people will not tolerate poor leadership anymore. Zero tolerance. They won't have any of it. And they will walk. They will leave. I got called into a business just the other month. And a guy had employed a young apprentice. And this young apprentice had done a fantastic job. This employer was so impressed with this young person that he was going to give him a raise. He was going to offer him a full-time position. And he'd arranged it. He'd got the HR people involved. He'd got the contract drawn up. And in comes the young person. What? Look, it's been brilliant working here, but it's just not for me. So thanks for the last 6 months. See ya. And that was it. The business owner was incandescent with rage when he phoned me. He was like, oh my God, I just spent 6 months training this guy. I recruited him. He was brilliant. And I said to him, well, what did you do for him? He says, what do you mean, what did I do for him? I gave him a job. And I was like, well, that's good. Yeah, well done. I says, what else did you do for him? And he went, I trained him. And I went, okay, good. That's the bare minimum. What else did you do for him? And he was like, what do you mean, what else? I paid him. I was like, cool. Did you take any interest in him? Did you task him about his own personal dreams and aspirations? Did you talk about goals? Did you talk about career succession? Did you talk about how he can grow and develop and how he can have the same life that you've had? No. Well, why do you think he left? Because his mates down the road have got a proper leader who takes care of his people, and he's going to go and work down there now. And now you're going to have to go and re-recruit him. So this is why people are moving around, because there is so much opportunity out there at the moment. There is tons of opportunity. So Who here has ever been in a relationship that they didn't like? And who here has stayed in that relationship? All right, a couple of you. But the majority of people move on. And this is what we see. This is just a normal pattern of human behavior. So what we're currently seeing at the moment is what I refer to as the Goldilocks effect. We've got people going out there and they're trying on jobs. They're trying on cultures. They're trying on leadership teams. They're just out there. They're job shopping. They're just moving around and going, hey, let's have a look at this. Let's try this. Now, all of this porridge tasting costs money. Who do you think's footing the bill for all this porridge tasting? Business owners, us. Yeah? So we need to get with the program. We need to enhance our leadership skills so that they come to us and the bed is the best one, the porridge is the best one, and the chair is nice and soft. However, that doesn't mean that we lead with weakness. So the writing's on the wall. It's time for change, and I think it's extremely overdue. Because, as I said, we are now in the personalization, the humanization part of the leadership revolution. And it's happening right now. And we are smack bang in the middle of it. And as it's been spoken about already, we need to be looking at people-centric leadership. If I can get the slide to change. Woohoo! All right, so we need to be looking at people-centric leadership. Now, do you think people-centric leadership is a new thing? No, it hasn't. So, we're all going to go back in time. All right, so for those of you who are not across this is a DeLorean, and it goes at 88 miles an hour. It's got a flux capacitor fitted to it, and it's what makes time travel possible. So, what I want you to be able to do, I want you to sit there, I want you to get comfortable, and I want you to G up your mates, because they're coming on the ride with us. So everybody start up your DeLorean. Come on, start up your... Yep, tap the time meter, make sure it's all set up. Come on, get your arms going, talk to your neighbours. Come on, get them G'd up. We're going time travelling, people. All right, okay, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, boom! We are back in 1805. Okay? It's now 1805, and this is our illustrious leader, Vice Admiral Horatio Nelson. Has anybody heard of him? Yeah? He stands in London on a big tall column. Now, England is at grave risk of invasion. Bonaparte and his gang are trying to invade England. Now, if they'd succeeded, I would be going, bonjour, monsieur, mademoiselle, avec vous, oui, très bien. But thankfully they didn't. But we are all part of Nelson's fleet. Every single one of you. And we are now gearing up for one of the biggest naval battles that we have ever seen, the Battle of Trafalgar. We're fighting the Franco-Spanish fleet down off the coast of Spain. Now, if we do not win, we'll all be talking French and eating frog's legs. All right? So we've got to do this. We've got to win. But as you can see from the stats, we are massively outgunned, we're outshipped, and we are outnumbered almost by 50%. We are proper up against it. The chances of us winning this battle are very, very slim. Now, I'd like you to also meet another member of our crew. This is little Johnny. Yeah, little Johnny, he is a powder monkey, and he's only 14 years old. Because back in 1805, we used to have 11-year-olds on the ship. Now, little Johnny's role, he's called a powder monkey because he can move around, he can dart, he's agile, he's a kid. Yeah? You imagine me trying to move that fast. Jesus. Yeah, it'd be like a lumbering elephant. So there's little Johnny. He's got to run around the ship, and he's got to keep going back to the magazine. He's got to keep going back to the gunpowder store to get the gunpowder, and then get that up to the cannon so that the cannon can go and fire off its cannonball. Because we don't want to have too much gunpowder on the deck, just in case we get a cannonball hit us. Imagine what would happen then. Yeah, boom, it's all over, game over. So little Johnny, he's an integral part of the team. But little Johnny is also first aid trained. He's also trained on being able to fire cannon. And he's also trained in sword fighting. He's a pretty well-trained little fella, is little Johnny. So we'll be coming back to him during the battle. We'll be checking in on him. But what we need to understand is, how do we fight a battle, win a battleship? Well, in 1805, it's pretty simple. You just parked your ship next to the enemy and you let loose. And whoever managed to loose off enough cannonballs and shot and everything else would win. That was pretty much it. And it was all controlled by flags. This is why we ended up having flagships. Everything was controlled by flags. They'd run the flags up, and the admirals would command and control the battlefield, or the sea battle, from flags. So Nelson, being a very clever chap, realized because he was outshipped, he was outgunned, he had to come up with a different tactic. Now, his tactics were also nothing new. He went back in his history books and went, okay, well, if we sail right down the middle of the Spanish fleet and scatter them and cause as much chaos as possible, and what we start to see here is, this is Villeneuve's ship here. If we take out the flagship, then Villeneuve's troops won't know what's going on. We'll cause so much chaos that we have an advantage. So this is what they did. They split into two columns, and they sailed straight at the Spanish fleet. And about 12 o'clock in the afternoon, the battle started. Now, Nelson's final words to his captains before the battle, his final leadership was, no captain can do very wrong if he places his ship alongside that of the enemy. That was it. Crack on, fellas. Yeah. Park your ship next to him, let loose, good luck. See you back for medals and tea later on. Yeah? What did I say earlier on about leaders not giving enough information? Yeah? Imagine what this were like. You're like, really? Shit. Thanks. All right, so as I said, the battle starts about 12 o'clock. Villeneuve sees the British fleet coming in, and he lets loose. And all hell's breaking loose. There's cannonballs flying around. There's blood and guts, and there's bits of wood. And I'm not going to get too graphic. But the other thing that I want you to consider is the size of these ships. They're like the Firefins. They're huge. 350 tons. Sorry, 3,500 tons. 200 foot long. Over 27 miles of rope. Can you imagine that? Yeah? All this whilst there's cannonballs flying around, people dying, all hell breaking loose. Over 100 cannons, 4 acres of sailcloth. You've got to be able to, remember what he said? You've got to position your boat next to somebody else. So you imagine trying to navigate that and get your boat alongside and launch the cannons and do all this whilst the sea's going up and down and doing all that whilst Villeneuve and all his gang are firing at you. Imagine the chaos that's going on. Yeah? So this is where it all happens. So we're back to the battle. It's all kicking off. And here we see little Johnny. Here he is. Yeah, legging it around, delivering the gunpowder, doing his bit. England expects every man to do his duty. That was the message. So here he is doing his thing. Absolute chaos. And then, about 2:15 in the afternoon, Nelson gets shot. He gets taken out by a sniper up in the rigging, and he gets shot through the shoulder. Now, Nelson is a very, very experienced and battle-hardened warrior. He's been in this situation many, many times before, but he knows this time he's done for. This is a mortal wound, and he wants to be able to survive. He wants to know that his team have won and that England's going to be safe, so he hangs in there. And we carry on with the battle, so everybody's like still going at it. And about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Villeneuve surrenders. The British have won. Happy days. Britannia, triumphant. Woohoo! Well done, everybody. You all just survived. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you also for keeping Britain safe on behalf of me, being a Pommy. But when we look at the stats of this battle were amazing. Remember how much we were outgunned, how much we were outshipped, and how much we were outmanned? We didn't lose one vessel, not one boat. We had 458 people compared to their 4,395. They lost 21 ships. One sunk and about 10 ran away. Yeah, because that's the French, they're always surrendering. So, this is what we start to see. And you'll be pleased to know, little Johnny made it as well. Yeah, he got a few scrapes and bruises and a couple of bumps and that, but he went on to have a full career in Her Majesty's Modern Royal Navy. But the battle was actually won way before 1805. And this is where I want to link you back to people-centric leadership. This is not something new. Nelson spent years training his captains, giving them the skills to be able to do it. He then encouraged his captains, just like Sally said, leaders train leaders. So the captains train their crew. And we also see he trusted his men. He put 100% trust in his men to be able to go forth and do their duty and do what was required of them. Remember his final brief. No captain can do wrong as long as he parks his ship next to somebody else and lets loose. Yeah, that's my version of it. I wasn't as elegant as Nelson. But he trusted his men to be able to do it. There was no micromanaging. There was no, you'll do what I say when I run the flags up. He'd already trained his men so well. He'd not just empowered them, he'd equipped them. And they went on and won the battle. So, we can't hang around in 1805. So get back in your DeLorean, spark it up, ready. All right, make sure your neighbour's still awake, give him a nudge. All right, in 3, 2, 1, boom. Here we are. Whew, that was good, back in 2024. Lovely, all right, it's much more comfortable now. Got air conditioning. So, people-centric leadership, what does it actually look like? But it's something that we, within BNI, have been doing for many, many years already. We give responsibility to people. We've heard many times that there's chapter presidents out there who've never run anything in their life. We give them the opportunity. We give them responsibility. We listen to new ideas. We recognize them. This whole weekend has been around recognition, hasn't it? Yeah. So everybody's been recognized. I was just having a conversation in the foyer, and we were talking about how cool is it that you can just meet a stranger and go, hey, how are you going? My name's Steve. How are you? Where are you from? What do you do? How cool is that? Because we're in a safe environment. We've created a safe environment where we can have these conversations, where we can be vulnerable, just like you said with Renee Brown. Show the vulnerability, because vulnerability is the key to connection. But even more than that, we need to be able to train our people. We need to be able to train future leaders. We also need to be able to train people to be able to do their jobs so that they go home happy, not frustrated. Because all of that leads to success. Now, what can you do today? What can you do? Remember I said at the very start of the presentation, you have the ability to change a culture, to change a community, to change a family. So we can do what Nelson did. We can equip and empower. Whoop, back one. We can equip and empower. Yeah. Now, empowerment is a word that gets bandied around all the time. I'm sure you've heard it. Have you heard it? Yeah. I empower my people. Yeah. What is empowerment at the end of the day? It's basically just telling someone they can do it. Yeah. Tell Liz, you're good at jumping out of airplanes. You can do it. That's right. No, we're right. I don't want to shout at people. There we go, we're back. Cool, thank you. So Liz, You can jump out of an airplane. You can do it. You'll be great at it. You'll be fantastic. Go for your life. Knock yourself out. Yeah, you'll be brilliant. I believe in you. I know you can do it. I could tell Liz all that. And then when she gets up there and she throws herself out of the airplane, she's like, oh, shit, nobody actually taught me how the parachute works. What do I do next? Yeah. So we want to be able to equip and empower people. We also want to be able to lead with love. Now, I ran a leadership conference in Wagga in February. 110 people turned up. Now, Wagga's a small regional town. And I stood at the start of the conference and I says, today we're going to be talking about leading with love. Oh my, you could virtually hear the groan. Yeah? All these, majority of them big butch farmery type people. Oh my God. I heard one person actually turn around and say, love? I don't even like my team, let alone bloody love them. So, but I challenged them. I said, at the end of this, I want you to, if you still think that leading with love is weak, come and talk to me. But loads of people came up to me and went, wow, it's much harder than I thought it was. It's a bit like leading teenagers. Who's got teenagers? Yeah, a few of you? Yeah, what are teenagers like? They're a struggle. Yeah? But you still want the best for them, don't you? You still got to put boundaries in place. You still got to discipline them. This is what love is. Yeah? You might not like your teenager, but you still love them. Yeah, and this is what we've got to do with our people. Because nobody will care until they know that you care. When you show that you care about your team and your team members, they'll care about you and what you're trying to achieve. So we lead with love. But also, every great leader is green and growing. Have you ever come across somebody who knows it all? Yeah? Ever come across those people? Yeah? I know it all. I don't need to know anymore. I've learned as much as I can learn. She'll be right. Do you want to follow those people? No. So if you have the same attitude, then people aren't going to follow you. Your team are not going to follow you. So we want to be green and growing, because then when we're green and growing, we're interesting. We've got something fresh to share. We become of value to them because they're going to want to hang around with us because there's new information. So most importantly, and if you take nothing else away from today, please take this message. You don't know it all. I think, personally, the day that I jump in my box, I'll probably know maybe 23, 24% of what I actually need to know. And that keeps me hungry to keep learning, to keep growing, to keep developing. Because if we can continue to evolve and grow and develop and become upskilled, then we become interesting and people are going to want to hang around us. And if we then upskill our team, then they're going to want to stick around because we're investing in them. We're helping them grow and develop and become the best versions of themselves. So here's a quick win for you. I did say that I was going to share with you a little bit around the different generations. Okay? There's 5 different generations in the workplace at the moment. There's 6 if you include the Gen Alphas. They're actually in cafes and places like that at the moment. All right? The Gen Alphas are coming to you soon. So just out of interest, who's a Gen X here? All right, how many baby boomers? All right, how many millennials? All right, see? They're here, told you. Have we got any Gen Zs here? 1. Ha! See, they're coming. Yeah? They're coming to take over. All right, so I don't have time to go through the whole lot, so we're going to focus on the millennials, and they currently make up 35% of the workforce. So your team, 35% millennials, if not more. So we're going to go through some quick do's and don'ts. So do make sure you align them or get them to align with the purpose of the business. This is why it's important to know your mission, your vision, and your values. To be able to say, this is my business, this is, I don't know, the Royal Navy. Yeah? This is what we stand for, this is what we do, this is how we do it. Because then at the job interview, little Johnny who's coming in will be like, no, I don't want any of that, that's not for me. But if they do, they're aligned. Do you think they're going to work well with that one? They're going to love that. So we want to make sure that they're aligned with the purpose of our business. But if you don't know what the purpose of your business is, and you can't articulate that very well, you're going to struggle to align them. We want to make sure that they work collaboratively. They like to work in small groups. If you think about it, when I was at school, if I was given the task of building a table, for example, I'd have to build a whole thing on my own. I'd have to design it, I'd have to do the legs, I'd have to do the top, I'd have to do the woodworking, everything. However, in millennials, when they came to, where's the millennials? Yep. Is this true? You work together as a group, so if you built a table, you did it as a small group. Yep. It's the same in the workplace. So if we know this, they like to work in small teams, give them the opportunity to work collaboratively. Provide lots of exposure to new technology. They love technology. Yeah? They're right across it, but the Gen Zs, we'll get to them in a minute, but they're even more across it. But don't underestimate their capacity to work. The millennials want to work. They want to earn. They want to have the same life that everybody else has had. But we, for some reason, think they're lazy or they're entitled, or they just want to level up all the time. Of course they want to level up all the time. They were brought up on Donkey Kong. Yeah? For the millennials in the room, that was one of the first computer games. Yeah? But when you go up, when you're playing a computer game, you go up every week, don't you? But we've got to be able to help them realize that they can't do that in the workplace. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. Who here was ambitious when they were a kid? Yeah? That's why we're now running our own businesses. There's nothing wrong with that ambition, but we learned that you can't run before you can walk, and we have to lead them through that. So what I often say is when people say to me, they want more responsibility, they want to do this, they want to do that more. And I'm like, well, give them the opportunity, let them go. You might have a gun on your hand, they might actually be able to achieve it. But if they don't, you say to them, that's fantastic, I love your ambition, but can you see how you're just not ready yet? But if you're happy, I'm going to coach you, I'm going to mentor you, I'm going to lead you, I'm going to guide you, I'm going to train you until you are. Do you think they'll want to stick around for that? Yeah. So, don't underestimate their work capacity. And don't limit their growth and development opportunities. They want to learn, they want to grow. And don't forget to give feedback. Millennials like feedback like instantly. They want it right away. They want to know how quickly, what was that job like? Did I do a good job? Was that right? Was that right? How did I go? Yeah, if you've still got 6 monthly appraisals or yearly appraisals, get with the program. Yeah, bin that shit off. Yeah, where's he? Sally, is that all right? Yep, cool. Yep. So get rid of them and start giving them feedback straight away, how well they've done, that continuous growth and development, the feedback. And if you prime the conversation around feedback, that's a whole different topic. But if you prime the conversation around feedback, they'll be open to it. They won't feel personally attacked. All right, let's look at the Gen Zs. Make up 5% of the workforce at the moment. These guys are coming. There's one here already. Yeah? So, embrace diversity. They love diversity. Yeah? They love to be able to work with different people, different genders, different religions. Because when they went to school, there was a whole mishmash of people. Yeah? They understand, they get it. So let them embrace diversity. Provide them with challenges. Again, like I say, the Donkey Kong gaming, they're always finding solutions. They're always finding ways forward. They want to discover ideas. They want to fix things. They want to have challenges. So give them challenges. And provide as much flexibility as possible. Yeah, do you remember one of the first slides I showed you about the inflexibility in a workplace? This is why people are not sticking around. So provide that ability. Trust them. Remember Nelson? Yeah, he trusted his people. I don't know if you read or saw during COVID, there was actually programs being written so you could monitor how fast the mouse was moving. Yeah, whether they tied it to the cat or not. Yeah. Bullshit, just let them work. Yeah, trust them. Believe in your people. Don't limit their access to tech. This is more important with the Gen Zs because they are whizzes with it. Yeah? They would be able to come up with a solution that would probably take us Gen Xers 30 days to do. They'll do it in 20 minutes on a laptop doing some sort of app or something. Don't limit their opportunity to learn and never isolate them. The Gen Zs feel disconnected. It was part of their upbringing, part of what happened in the world. They feel isolated already. So if you isolate them, they're not going to work very well. They'll go off and find somewhere where they do feel safe. So I just want you to remember, everything rises and falls on leadership. And in this case, it rises and falls on your leadership. How are you choosing to lead and influence people around you? Oh, shit, what happened there? Oh, something's going on. Anyway, so I just want to finish off. If we are doing a good job as leaders, people will leave work, they'll go home, they'll have a great interaction with their family, the kids will be happy, schools will be effective, and we'll have decent graduates going off into the workplace.